Alrighty, we are on the last bit of the Fummins build project as far as the swap is concerned. Obviously down the road, or really soon probably, you're gonna do wheels and tires and new front and rear bumpers and a gooseneck hitch and stuff like that. But as far as the swap is concerned, we are on the last little bit of stuff. So last episode we finished up the intercooler piping, well, built the intercooler piping, so we got all that done. So you can see, so our intercooler piping's all in, it's built, it's clamped, it's done. The whole front end is together, radiator, AC condenser, transcooler, power steering cooler, intercooler. That is all done, that is all plumbed. So the last bit of stuff we have to do. We've got a nice Mishimoto one to replace this. We need to do our heater hoses. We've got our two inlets and outlets to our heater core. Those need to go over there. And then basically just fill it all with fluid. Fill up the cooling system, bleed the cooling system, fill up the power steering / hydro boost brake system with fluid, bleed that out. And if all goes well there and we don't have any leaks to fix, we can properly drive this thing because it's ready otherwise. We've been driving it in and out of the shop, but been driving it with no radiator, no intercooler, no belt, you know, no water pump, no nothing. So this would be the first drive with all systems go, more or less. Say all this to say, it's time to get to work. Go. Got our new degas bottle on. Time to reinstall. Man, that really kind of just completes the look of the engine bay. That old crusty coolant tank didn't fit with all these nice shiny new parts. So we got that in, and honestly it was easier than expected. The worst part was just cutting the box, but the way they have it set up for you to mount it was cake. So anyway, we got our relay back on here, got our wires back in place. Yeah, okay, so next order of business, we've got this big 1-inch hose that goes from our lower radiator hose over to this fitting right here. Secure it, and then we'll get it hooked up, cut to length and hooked up. And then we've got another hose that goes from here over to here. Need to get that on. All right, hoses are on. Those are done. Should work for temporary placement. It's cool to have an intake in there. Definitely will need to get that factory box because it draws air from behind the headlight here. If we leave it like that open, we're gonna be drawing all the hot air in from the engine bay, which we don't want. Usually cold air intakes mean hot air intakes because instead of drawing air from outside the bay, it's drawing it from inside the bay, which is gonna be hotter. So anyway, definitely wanna do that proper, but for now, that will fit and filter out dirt and stuff so we don't ruin anything. Basically, I cut apart the factory connectors, so I cut this little molded piece of plastic off, slit the hose with a razor knife, and then it's just a barbed fitting, and then to the right size for how this hose gets bigger. Clamped it on for this one, and then this one has the union to go to that one. So now I just got to install them again, and cooling system will be closed. Heater hoses are in. They both fit good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the intake in, see how that fits with the heater hoses. I think after that, it's a moment of truth time, hoping that we have no leaks or issues. You come just for the exciting part, Sands? Yeah, understandable. Intake's on, fits good. We're all solid there. Everything else, as far as I know, is done. I'm gonna do one last mental checklist, but we've got the front jacked up because we're going to add our power steering fluid. Basically, we need to cycle the steering lock to try to bleed the air out of the steering box and everything. Don't have to start it and bleed it with it running as well. So anyway, that's what's next. And then coolant, obviously, kind of same concept. We got to run it, bleed out the cooling system, check for leaks, and yeah, if all systems are go, we can go. The only thing I'm worried about still is my turbo oil drain. Had a tough time getting that to seal, couldn't get it to seal right. So I ended up buying a new oil drain, brand new OEM gasket, put it together with no RTV. We're gonna see if she seals. If not, we're gonna try it again. But if that's all we have leaking, I won't even be bummed. But yeah, anyway, final systems check, fluid fill. It's the moment of truth. You know, if anything's gonna be wrong, well, not anything, but there's several things that could go wrong that we will figure out now. And I'm hoping that there's none of them, but that's not usually how it works. So far I've put 2 quarts of power steering fluid, which is Mercon 5 ATF, that's what's specified. And I've just been turning the wheels in the air, bleeding it out. I gotta add a little more and keep doing that. I put 2 gallons of distilled water in. I wanted to put water in first, that way if there was an immediate leak, a lot less messy than if we have a leak once we have coolant in it, antifreeze. So far so good. Kind of tricky because that water's from doing the heater hoses, but everything's looking decent so far. All right, I got it down on the ground. We still need to add probably at least a gallon of coolant, but I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up and just kind of get everything cycling. I'm nervous. This will be the first time it's fired up with a radiator, an intercooler, any of this stuff. Transcooler, power steering, anyway, nervous. Belt, ace, fan, clutch, fan. Whew. We'll be all right. Well, so far so good, aside from our oil train is still leaking. I'm gonna kill that thing. I've tried it so many times. I've tried to fix it, I don't understand. That was a brand new OEM gasket, brand new OEM tube. But let it sit. I cleaned up the oil and stuff. See if there's any new drips and drops, because we obviously spilled some coolant and water when we were pouring it in that had a couple drops. And everything looks good, so I guess now's the moment. Let's pull this thing out and at least go for a lap around the yard and back and see what happens. We're not gonna make that 3-pointer, are we? She's got power brakes, she's got power steering. Oh, she's beeping at a seatbelt. on the road yet. We gotta fix that oil leak first. We're driving this thing, boys! It feels pretty peppy for a stock tune-up. Look over. Kind of like a combustion noise that I can't figure out what it is. Seems to be running pretty good, guys. We got some boost in her that time. Oh, we got a battery light. Light's gone. Okay, I'm not 100% sure what the issue is. Bring it in here. If I let it idle, no battery light. As soon as I rev it, give it some revs, the battery light on the dash starts flashing, and then it starts kind of running rough. So, I don't know, I was kind of digging into it, checking all my batteries and my grounds and whatever. I'm getting charge voltage, but this is the positive terminal wire was going in and it like ripped out. So I'm wondering if maybe that was just losing connection. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna replace this terminal. This wire was also, this positive wire was kind of routed near a bunch of other wires in the ECU. I was like, yeah, maybe it's interfering with something. You know, who knows? So anyway, we'll try this new terminal, whatever, and we'll see where we're at. But otherwise, besides the freaking turbo, which I put a bucket on here this time, we got no leaks. So that is definitely good. You gotta take your victories, you know? Take your victories with your defeats. So hopefully we can figure this out. Just like a wiring issue's like the worst thing for me, but we'll get it sorted. Fixed. No more battery light. smoke. No leaks besides the oil drain. So as you can probably see, our oil drain is leaking quite a bit. So we gotta resolve this, man. Like I said, I tried stock gasket originally, that leaked. RTV'd that gasket, that leaked. Assumed that it got oil mixed in, cleaned it, waited a day, resealed it, that leaked. So then this time I bought a brand new OEM drain tube, brand new OEM gasket, no RTV, that leaked. So I really don't know what the heck's going on, you know? I don't know, maybe the turbo flange is warped. I just don't see how that would be possible. But I'm gonna try this again. OEM gasket, I wish I had a new one. You can see where this part of the rubber is like torn up. I don't know why that happened, but anyway, this with Honda Bond. I've tried normal RTV, Honda Bond is the jam. I'm gonna try this with Honda Bond, see if we can make it stick. Wish me luck. Got it back on with Honda Bond. All right, well, I let that dry overnight. Then get my go-kart ready for the race this weekend. So just kind of gave this some time to hopefully dry. I said it just seems like what's happening is there's residual oil in the cartridge and just like a slow dribble comes in and mixes with the silicone while it's drying, keeps it from drying, keeps it from sealing. That's my best guess. But yeah, so we're gonna fire this thing up, let it idle, and go ahead and put this plastic bucket back under there. That way that can catch it when it inevitably leaks again. But if it's good, then we can actually drive this thing around a little more. I just didn't want to drive it far with oil pouring out of it. Went ahead and got the intake air temp sensor mounted up in basically the intake pipe going down to the turbo. We got the filter here, intake air temp sensor. I need to just take this sensor out. I'm gonna go ahead and just spray a coat of black on this and then put it back in, move on to the next thing, which will be re-RTVing that thing by itself. I do have a secondary plan. I'm gonna RTV it with no gasket just because I gotta be able to move this thing around. But my second plan is do like a billet AN flange and just do like an AN line. I think that's what I'm gonna do either way, but I am gonna try to RTV it one more time with no gasket just to see if that'll get us by for now. You agree, Sands? Yeah, all right, cool. All right, we got our coat of paint on here. It's a little tacky, but I think it's ready to go back on. I wanna see what it looks like now that it's actually painted, not just raw metal. Perfect paint line. All right, well, it's another little project out of the way, and take air temp sensor in, pipe painted. Looks much cleaner in there now. Nice and stealthy. So I let my RTV job number like 5 cure while we went and raced go-karts. Came back and no curie. Basically it's weeping oil and I haven't even started it yet. So as I expected, the oil mixed in with the RTV again, which is kind of been what I'm assuming we've been fighting this whole time. So instead of dealing with this anymore, we're just gonna convert it to an AN line. It'll be a lot easier because basically it'll be a fitting that goes into the block, and the one that bolts onto the turbo is a billet machine piece. It has a groove machined into it and then an O-ring. So it'll be an O-ring steel instead of a paper gasket or RTV. It'll be much easier to deal with, much easier to service. Definitely think it's the way to go. And luckily I had leftover fittings from doing my dry sump oil lines on the LS Miata, and I have the exact fittings I think I need for it. So we've got a 45 and a straight to kind of push it away from the starter and then up into the turbo. And if that puts it at a weird angle, I have another straight as well. So we could just use 2 straights. So, and then I also have the perfect amount of line pretty much to get it done. So that is super exciting. I'm glad I had that stuff left over. It makes life easier. So now all we have to wait on is the adapter fitting to the block and the flange for the turbo. So that is kind of putting us dead in the water at the moment, which is unfortunate. I really wanted to take this thing on a real cruise and kind of wanted to see what it was like stock and really kind of feel it out stock so we could see how drastic of an improvement it is with one of his custom tunes. And anyway, moral of the story is there's not much more I can do with that oil drain, just pouring oil out. I gotta wait till I fix that. To fix it, I gotta wait for the parts. Unfortunate. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, if the only problem we have is that turbo oil drain, which has been a problem from the first time we got this thing started, if that's the only problem we have, I cannot complain at all. I'm still stoked. I'm honestly really happy with how the first drive went. I figured we'd have more issues than that. We'd blow a coupler off, we'd have a coolant leak, you know, we'd be chasing our tail for a day before we got it to actually drive around even the yard okay. And now, I mean, it did good. Obviously, there's a very short drive and not on the road, not through all the gears, not highway speed. We've still got all that to do, but I mean, it ran, it drove, it power brakes, power steering. I mean, it went into the gears. Like, it's a pretty big moment for me. This has been, you know, kind of a long project. I've really taken my time on it to try to just make sure everything is as good as it can be, because I don't want to have any issues with this truck, and it is my like dream truck build. So to have it running and driving around, and we made boost and turbo noises, diesel noise, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to have it where it is now, and we don't have that long of a road to go. Once we get it mechanically sorted, which should hopefully be very, very soon, like the next few days, whenever we get these freaking parts in, we'll still have to get it custom tuned by my buddy Matt from the Optimal Welding YouTube channel. We got to do some trans tuning, and then cosmetically, I want to do new front and rear bumpers, new headlight, and semi wheels with off-road tires. I got a dually specifically because I love the way they look on semi wheels. I can't not do semi wheels on this truck, because I mean, that's what I've wanted from day one when we started this build. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna do it. Just got to find the right combination. So anyway, moral of the story is it freaking runs, it drives. We got kind of roadblocked with the oil leak, but overall, it went better than expected still. So anyway, yeah, while we wait for parts, we'll knock out some other stuff. But for now, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.